Today we're going to talk about on-demand or cold performance shooting. So first off, what is that? Cold shooting or cold performance shooting is just the ability to, with no warm-up, no dry fire reps, whatever it is, be able to deliver accurate rounds at a fast-paced downrange, whether that be in a competition setting or a self-defense shooting, MIL, LE, whatever it may be. You want to know that your skills are up to the standard so that if that day ever arrives, that you're going to be able to perform having no warm-up. So while we're out here, we're going to do some kind of testing and evaluating of hey, how to test it and also how to get a better cold performance shooting. So today I'm completely cold. I've already set up a drill behind me. I have done no dry fire today or whatever it may be, and I'm about to set up in my USPSA competition gear, run it, and then we're going to talk about it. So let's get ready. All right, that was the drill. Cold, no warm up, no dry fire, nothing like that. In a 2697. Let's score it. All right, so we just got done scoring my cold performance run of the day. No shooting, no dry fire, nothing like that. We had a total time of 26.97 seconds with 22 alpha, 6 charlies, and 1 delta. The 1 delta, I actually had called 2 deltas. 1 delta that I had called was turned into a charlie, so that was a little happy accident. Hit factor of 4.78. So the first thing I want to address when it comes to cold shooting or on-demand performance shooting is going to be actually measuring your cold performance. If you show up at the range with your EDC gear and you take it off and you put on your competition belt, war belt, whatever the heck you want to call it, and you do 5 minutes of dry fire, you're actually not going to be testing your cold performance because you've already warmed up. You're not going to have the time when it comes to self-defense, MIL, LE shooting, possibly, where you're going to be able to actually practice drawing your gun, seeing or remembering, okay, oh, that's that perfect grip that I really, really like, kind of getting that sight picture, testing your dot brightness, all of those things. You're not going to get that in a real situation. In a competition setting, you will be able to have that when it comes to either a designated safe area or a warm-up bay. However, it is generally better to just kind of test your ice cold performance, throw on your belt and immediately go and shoot. I think it's a huge disservice if you say you're testing your cold performance, but in reality, you're kind of testing your semi-warmed up performance. So test your completely cold performance, get a baseline, and do your dry fires and your warm-up procedures or whatever it may be, and then kind of start your practice day. So how do you even measure your cold or your on-demand performance? I like to do either a kind of semi-complex drill, meaning probably 1 to 2 positions, a couple targets, or actual large strings of fire, which I just practiced. Now I'm not going to the range and I'm not setting up this entire string of fire every single time, but occasionally, once a month, once every other month, I'm gonna set up something really, really big in the beginning to do if I know I'm gonna do it later in my practice. Or a lot of the times I'll actually just do a simple drill of a triple bill drill or a 2-position drill or bill drill rundown, something like that, something that's gonna have some round count, some movement, some visual thing, kind of seeing where I'm actually being the most efficient, where I suck the most that day. And I'm gonna put that into my practice of what I wanted to come to the range and practice on, and that as well. Now we've talked about how to actually make sure you're giving yourself a good cold performance run of like not practicing beforehand, how to measure it with like the drill. Next thing I want to talk about is actually how to get better. How do you have a better on-demand performance when it comes to the competition you're practicing with your buddies or a self-defense shooting, whatever it be? I think there's generally two ways. The first way is literally just raw skill. You want to have your raw skill and your abilities so high and just like refined and almost perfect that even if you were to suck and you shoot 60%, 70% of what you're capable of, you're still knocking it out of the park and you're still able to answer whatever the call of the demand that you have to put rounds on target, whatever that may be. So with having a kind of raw skills, that means you're gonna be practicing the fundamentals. You're gonna go out to the range and you're gonna consistently practice grip, vision, movement, entries, exits, all kinds of things, and being just like absolutely very critical with yourself of making sure, hey, is this the perfect grip? Is this the perfect kind of smooth trigger pull? Is this the perfect slap trigger pull? How much sight picture do I need on an open target? How much sight picture do I need on a really, really close, like partial target? Whatever that be, and kind of practicing and really refining your process so that if that was a situation may depend it, you can perform at a 80% level and still get the job done. Now, the next point I want to say is actually practicing minimal kind of mental practice drills, okay? So what that means is I'm gonna go and set up a drill, multi-stage, multi-position drill, and I'm gonna do the bare minimum when it comes to like a mental walkthrough. So like the drill behind me, I set up the targets, I was like, hey, I wanna shoot him from these two positions, and then I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm not gonna sit there and analyze, okay, I want my foot in this specific rock, I want to reload as soon as I'm done here, what is the sight picture, what is the gun gonna feel like? I don't wanna have any of that mental prep because I wanna practice what just happens. What happens, where does my mind go when I'm shooting that drill? What just naturally happens? And that really is gonna see how much back-end work you've done in dry fire and live fire to see how much is subconscious, because your conscious mind is gonna be thinking of, where's the next target? Is that a good trigger pull? Is that a good sight picture? Hey, that was a good shot, move on to the next target, and kind of working through that process and actually thinking your way through the stage and seeing what's subconscious and actually what's not subconscious. To see where my cold performance shooting was in comparison to my warmed up performance, I'm gonna go practice some fundamentals of some grip, some vision, some kind of movement stuff, and some mental drills of like how much little thinking I can do and actually complete the drill well. Then I'm gonna shoot the drill over again, and we're gonna compare the performance of my cold to my warmed up. .2733. So that was the warmed up run for this drill. Now we're gonna score, compare against my cold performance beforehand. All right, so even though this was my warmed up run, I still made a mistake. I'm not perfect. This was my first shot, I believe, or maybe, I don't know, first shot, second shot, it doesn't really matter. I called the no shoot. I was like, hey, that dipped, didn't like the sight picture. So I did throw one high away from the no shoot. What I think happened is I was looking too far close, like too far down here, and I didn't have the fundamentals. So that was two things going wrong instead of just one thing. So don't do that. Don't suck, be better. All right, so I just got done running the drill again as my warmed up performance, and spoiler, I sucked. So the first run, the cold performance run, I did it in 26 seconds and 26.97 seconds with a hit factor of 4.78 with 22 alpha, 6 Charlies, and a delta. The warmed up run, after I had practiced some fundamentals, after I had done some positional work, I shot it in actually 27.33 seconds with 24 alpha and only 5 Charlies, but I threw a no shoot. Coming into the second position, I shot low, I was looking low, my grip wasn't formed as well as I wanted it to, and I just pulled a shot low into the no shoot. I called it, so I made it up. However, the hit factor was 4.57. So I was actually 0.2 of a hit factor lower than my cold performance. So what does that kind of tell me? First off, it tells me that, or there's two things it could tell me. It could tell me that my cold performance was really, really well, or it could tell me that my warm performance was really bad. I think, just from personally how I felt shooting, it was my warmed up shooting was not good. I felt really confident in my cold performance. I was nice and controlled and relaxed and kind of comfortable shooting. However, in my warm up shooting, I was not very controlled and relaxed. I was very much so like pushing and trying to get every ounce of performance I could, and that ended up actually making a couple of mistakes. I had a couple makeups on some of the far steel, some of the close poppers, the no shoot in general. So that's why I think that my warmed up run was actually less so than my cold performance. So that means that I have to start working on the ability, that consistency of, even if my cold run is this, I can't just be like, okay, well, this is my cold run. I have to do 20% higher for my warmed up run. Actually giving the target the respect it deserves when it comes to the no shoot or the steel target. So to wrap kind of all this up in a nice little pretty bow is going to be making sure that you're practicing kind of cold or on-demand performance. You do not have to practice this every time you come to the range. However, you're more than welcome to. I personally like to do it every couple times to the range, once a month, something like that, to make sure that my on-demand skills are always there. And also do it not just from your competition rig, do it from your concealment rig. Do it from the rig that, like, you drive up to the range, you set up a little bitty drill, all you do is put on eyes, ears, change out your carry ammo for some practice ammo, and then let it hit the timer. And like, that's it. Don't have to have this super elaborate drill. You can have one target of like, hey, I'm gonna do a build drill, reload, build drill, whatever it may be. Just make sure that you're actually putting in the work of measuring efficiently and correctly your cold performance, then kind of getting a baseline of your warm performance versus your cold performance, and being honest with yourself if one of them was lacking or one of them was just above average that day. Whatever it may be, just continue to practice and get better and keep shooting.